let's bring out all of our amazing actors without further ado. First up, Rescue Squad's Harold Capp. Let's bring out Randy Flagler.
Hey, what are you guys doing here?
Randy, that was like an old school 70s sitcom turn to the camera. That was beautiful.
I was thinking Match Game for all the older folks out there.
There we go. All right, next up, a paramedic with Ambulance 61, Sylvie Brett. Let's hear it for Killmer. Kara brought, was that confetti? I don't know if we...
It's confetti.
Yay!
Hello.
Oh my gosh, setting the bar already. Randa and Carrie, I hope everyone else has something amazing planned for their entrance. I know I'm setting the bar, or they're setting the bar high. So let's keep it going. Next up, officer in the intelligent unit in the CPD, Antonio Dawson. Let's hear it for Jon Seda.
Yay.
Yeah, there we go. Nice job.
What's up?
I love it. Always going back to those boxing roots. I love it. All right, next up, Kyle Sheffield. Broke Kara. Oh man, poor Kara. Not poor Kara. Poor Sylvie. But let's bring out Kyle Sheffield. Also, the chaplain of the Chicago FD. Let's hear it for Teddy Sears. There's one. Very nice, Teddy. Welcome, Teddy. Good to see you. Good to have you here. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, next up. It's like a reunion. The half sister of Kelly, Katie Nolan. Let's hear it for Brittany Curran.
Yay!
Good job.
A puppy. Puppies always steal the show, Brittany. Good entrance. Good entrance. Our favorite CI, Greg Mouse Gerwitz. Let's hear it for Samuel Hunt.
It worked. Hey.
All right, and guess who's in the waiting room, everybody? These Zoom calls are a thing of the current, and they're going to be our new normal. And she's waiting in the waiting room, so she's going to come out live. Let us hear it for Firefighter Truck 81, Stella Kidd, Miranda Rae Mayo. Miranda, you're here, and you're actually live right now. That's how crazy this is. So it's a good thing.
She looks pissed.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing we took at least 45 minutes to just have everything set up and ready, and that you weren't in an awkward location in your home, because we have you, Miranda. Yes, give it up. Oh, man. First off, thank you all, not only the fans that are watching at home, from around the world. We have fans watching from Russia and Brazil and Scotland and the UK and Canada and obviously across the US. Fans of One Chicago, all the chiehards out there, we're nipping at the bud, talking in the chat, just waiting for you to grace them with your presence. And thank you all from joining us from your homes and giving us a nice little break from our day. So an important show about first responders. And so, I just want to shout out to all the real first responders out there that have been bringing us through this crisis and everything. So shout out to them. And thank you all for being here. I just want to get started. First of all, congratulations. One of the most successful shows of all time, most successful grouping of shows in universe, over 440 episodes, seven, I know PD's going 7 into 8, MD's in season 5 being renewed, Fire's going 8 into 9, plus 10, 11 have already been announced, which is crazy. I just want to, I know. I just want to get started by hearing a little bit from all of you. Let's start with those that have been with us since the beginning. So Randy, Kara, John, Miranda. I'd love to start things off with you. Did you ever imagine, or could you have ever imagined the success of these shows? And what do you think it is about, this look into the lives of people in the service industry that has just kept the series alive and going for so long? Whoever wants to kind of kick it off. I know it's a heavy question to get started, but
that's for you.
Go ahead, Kara.
That's for you, Randy, because you've been here since day one.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it short and sweet. I was going to make it short and sweet and say, did we ever think it was going to last this long? Nope. And basically, what you just said, Mike, I think it does have something to do with those folks on the front line, the everyday heroes, and it does help with all our shows. Everyone that's been involved, everyone that's even here today. We've been so lucky where these particular shows, it's we all enjoy each other's company and we get along. And we got along. We had a good time even in the 23 minutes that we were trying to figure out our technical difficulties. But we've been lucky, like anything else in life. A lot of luck, Kara.
Oh yeah, I mean I agree. I think specifically the stories of Chicago are very unique. Like I always say repeatedly that Chicago finds new and interesting ways to like get itself in trouble, and so there's endless material to pull from that our writers are just like they just never run out. And like the people who are here are such good people, and you know, it's got this like big city, but also Midwestern small town feel. It's a really unique place, a really unique backdrop for storytelling.
Yeah, Miranda, tell us about your early start also, and then my gosh, the length of the show and how it's continued. Did you ever imagine starting off, my gosh, so many years ago?
It's crazy. So I came onto the show season 4, and I was slated to do about 6 episodes.
Gosh.
And
Well done.
so yeah. Again, long answer, short, no. You know, I think that that anytime coming on to a show, especially one that had been so well established with a creator like Dick Wolf, I didn't want to get my hopes up. And also the cast are some of the most amazing people, period. Period. I mean, we could talk about different sets, and then they're an extraordinary group of people. But just talking about people, like some of the most incredible people that I've ever met. I've learned so much. They welcomed me with open arms. Kara was one of the first. And Randy. Randy's always just a joy on set.
Don't believe it.
Yeah.
Don't believe it. Is that what you said? Don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
He's very loud and very welcoming.
Oh, not Randy.
Jon, you came first. So Chicago Fire was running, and then so successful that we get the first spinoff in what has now become, you know, the One Chicago universe. What was it like creating that new show and having some pressure, you know, early on to be like, will this be as successful? Like, can these both continue successfully? What was that like, kind of kicking off PD?
Well, you know, I mean, like Miranda, I was brought on the Fire early on in the first season. Yep. I did like 6 or 7 episodes. And then I heard one of the producers asking me if I'd be interested in doing a crossover and it turning into Chicago PD. And I remember at the time thinking, yeah, that's nice. That's not going to happen. And, but you know, who could have seen that coming, you know, and, you know, for the show to do so well and go so long and then sprout out to Chicago Med and for a short stint, Chicago Justice, you know, I think it really works. It's just, you know, people can connect to the show in so many ways. You know, it really speaks to so many people. And I think it covers, you know, the good, the bad, the stuff that people don't see. You get to go home with these people and these characters and really, you know, fall in love with them and just, you know, feel what they go through. And I think that's something that, you know, is very relational. This shows, all these shows, you know, speak to a lot of people. So I think that's a big reason for the success. And I had a great run. It was a lot of fun.
Can I also just interject and say that like that Jon's character, Antonio Dawson, like really was the catalyst and birthed Chicago PD and Chicago Justice. Like your character was pivotal. And anytime that you were on set, for me personally, it was like I wanted to be on my A game, and not because you're you're super strict, but you just always come in. Never once did Jon ever come in and not have his words memorized. Always so pleasant. Like I'm really sad that you're not with us anymore. So
I agree.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, there's always future. We'll talk about the future in a bit. But yeah, Jon, really, really awesome performance. All of you, really. And you all mentioned the entire cast. No small parts, right? You know, they're the main characters, sure. But there's just so many people doing these amazing arcs and coming in. Sam, you had longer than an arc. You had full 4 seasons, but you know, was in and out and became instantly like a fan favorite character. You know, anytime they had to go to the CI, you know what I mean? The CI, we have a CI, we're like, oh, let it be Mouse, you know what I mean? And then it would cut to you. Tell us about sort of, you know, coming in as that, like, again, secondary character, but still being a part and being a hugely popular character at the time in PD.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, by the way. Guys,
yeah, of course.
It's good to see all you guys again. It's been a long time. But I was kind of like Miranda in that I actually auditioned for Patty's part, for Ruzek, like when that first show was first casting. And obviously they had somebody who was much better than I am already in the part, but they called me at the end of the first season for the last episode of the first season and said, hey, here's this character. Do you want to do it? And so it's an interesting, the point is that I didn't have a character description. I didn't know anything about the character. They just asked if I wanted to do it. So I looked at it and said, all right, well, the guy's name is Mouse and he's got all of his scenes with the 2 broody handsome guys. So like, last thing that I need to be is broody and handsome, and my name is Mouse, and I'm like so I had a lot of fun kind of creating something, and it happened to work with the energy that they were kind of like, I happened to, you know, add a different energy to the whole thing. And so then they halfway through the second season, and it was kind of, again, like Miranda, like it was just episode. They're like, oh, well, you're in the next one. Oh, you're in the next one. Oh, you're in the next one. Oh, and they just kind of kept on going and going.
Love
so
that.
yeah, it was a really unique. I'm also from Chicago. So like,
oh, cool.
Yeah. So coming home and getting to spend time with friends and family, you know, and going to see my old high school friends and them being honest with me while we're having a few drinks and going, I didn't think it was going to work out for you. So it was, you know, it was truly a blessing. And I feel very, very fortunate. It was one of the best things that's happened in my career. So.
Sam, there's an episode where a father, his daughter's been missing, and he keeps calling, and they keep kind of putting it. Yes, that episode was so good. You did such a good job in that episode, and and the way that they brought in like PTSD and everything from like being in the military. It's one of my favorite episodes. It's so really good. Sweet.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you.
Everybody knows Chicago PD is my favorite show.
Whoa. Oh, man. Finally, it's out here live in front of the hundreds of people. Yeah. No. I wasn't going to say which one was your favorite, but now we opened up a whole can of worms here.
Sorry.
No. I want to shout out to the fans. There's some fun chatter going on. Again, the Chaihards have been super supportive of the show over the years. But Pedro SFA says, can we please petition to make Randy a regular cast member? He's been there from the start and is still a guest star.
Yes. No.
So good. Although you get that special spot. Yeah, you get that special guest star spot. Which is, yeah, super sweet. Teddy, Brittany, it's such a cool story to hear, you know, the characters that continued, the characters that came in, the characters had their short arcs. You know, what was it like, Brittany? I know you came in first on Fire, and then Teddy, you were just most recently in the last season in Fire. You know, what was it like entering this universe in this intense show that was so popular?
Well, I actually had a kind of similar-ish beginning that Sam had. I had actually originally been up for the Sophia Bush role in Chicago PD, and I didn't get it. And I remember my agent called me and was like, hey, so, you know, blah, 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 but NBC really likes you and they want to use you for something. I'm like, okay, I'm sure I can do that.
That's going to happen, but thanks.
Like, that's what they always say. And then it was later that summer, I was shooting a movie in Minneapolis, and I remember being in my hotel room and my agent called me and was like, so you just got an offer to recur on Chicago Fire. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, wow, that actually happened the way they said it was going to. What a lovely story. So, I came into Chicago Fire like in that fall, and kind of what Kara was saying, like, it's just, or what everyone's kind of saying, like, it was just such a welcoming cast, and it didn't feel like I was I mean, it felt like I was coming into a family that was already established, but like one that's nice and like likes to welcome people in. And I just felt like so welcomed. And I really felt like, because I think I did like a season or half a season, and I really felt like a part of it for that whole time, especially like being on other shows. You don't realize how special the Chicago universe is until you go and work on other stuff, and which is great a lot of the times, but there's like a professionalism and funness that the Chicago people have that's really, really awesome to work with. So yeah, it was great.
Cool. Teddy, you were saying something similar when we were trying to get this started. Yeah, let's hear about your experience as well.
Well, I mean, it's just to double down on that. Yeah. Well, okay. For me, like, I've spent the bulk of my career kind of joining, existing shows for periods of time, but I had yet to come into a show that was in season 7. So in my mind, going in, it's like these people are either phoning it in, because, or they know how good they have it, and they're grateful and they still care. And that was this group on Fire. Like,
jury's still out.
Well, it's funny. I remember walking in, and this first day, everyone was there. I had to give a speech. It was like I was quite intimidated because some of the actors I was grown up loving. I mean, I saw David in Take Me Out in 2003 on Broadway, and Eamon has had a storied career. Jesse's been on TV forever, and so I don't know. But I just remember, like, I don't know how it's oriented on your screen, but like, Randy's right here and Kara's right here. And between these two, I just was instantly like, everyone was so sweet. And they kind of just could have looked at me like, all right, here's another guy joining for a small arc. We're in season 7. Let's not bother to get to know him. And it was the complete opposite. And my 5 episodes ended up becoming 10, which I was just thrilled about. I just had the greatest time. And I'm still kind of hoping that there's some moment where just when things are really, really, really good.
Yeah.
For Sylvie Brett, maybe Kyle will breeze back into town and just take her out for a meal and see how she's doing. And, that would sort of be in like theme of how the show usually goes.
I will say,
I do remember Teddy with that first speech where he was like looking around the room, looking at all of us. And every time he was talking and he'd come on me, he'd find something so interesting. I could see it in his eyes. He totally lost where he was, like about 3 or 4 times. Couldn't remember.
Let's just call it what it is. You're a gorgeous man, and I couldn't take my damn eyes off of you.
Totally false story. Not true.
I will say, I feel like there's really only a handful of people, like everybody has experienced this. I feel like there's a handful of people who come on for shorter stints like that who can handle that kind of environment. And like, hands down, Teddy and Brittany both like fit in so well. And it really I feel like it really takes a special person who can just get in. Cause like, it's like joining a circus. Our show is a circus. It's a circus. I
loved every minute of it. I felt like I was at home with that group, but I would love some swag, man. Like hats or T-shirts. You guys, is there a way? I mean,
I'm going to work that out for you.
Really? Thank you.
I'll work that
Randy,
out for
can I have some of your laundry? You can just send it my way. You don't even have to wash it, man. Just drop it in the mail.
I got some good garage sale stuff. I'll send you. Okay.
There we go.
Good.
You heard it here first. Teddy, be careful of what you wish for coming back. Fans were already into Bretonio, and then you came in and shook things up. And the series is often about, there's a lot of great topics of the day, but, it's also about the ships, and fans get really into that. So you could be asking for it by saying you want Kyle back. There's going to be whole storylines created online right now.
I'm asking for it.
True.
Yeah.
I don't want to be coy. I'm asking for it.
Let's get a lot of fans out there. I want to get to some questions that they've been asking. Obviously the show is very stunt heavy. We're seeing live fires and all kinds of just tragic events happening in the city, and folks are wondering, was there, Audrey Johnson specifically and Danny Olmedo are just curious if what was the craziest episode, stunt wise or emotional difficulty wise? You have a memory of a particularly stunt heavy scene that kind of sticks out? Anyone out there?
I'll jump in and be quick again, but there's one that sticks out. It was early on. John Milnack does our special effects. Rick does our stunts. But there was a parking garage. It was about 5 stories up, and the Kelly Severide, and he's saving some dude, and they're jumping out the trunk of the car while the car falls like 5 stories. And it was really a car falling 5 stories because we're all getting our phones out, like filming it. It was a pretty cool stunt. Thank you very much.
Yeah. That's the exact. Yeah.
Hey, if you want me to tell that story again, here, let me start up. Hey,
Any other, for anyone out there, any like big stunt scenes that were kind of hugely epic or very memorable?
Remember I think it was season 5 when we did the Towering Inferno. Ooh. Where it was like we were downtown and Severide, of course, was hanging out like 23 stories up, like hanging out of the building, and was actually hanging out the window. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
So now you can vote which story was better, mine or Miranda. We're gonna vote.
That's all we have time for, and now we're going to vote on who had a better story. So if you're watching at home,
we're not writers, man. We're not writers. We're just like, give us the words, we'll say them, but we don't come up with the words.
I will say, like in this last season, we did a bottle episode where protesters come to the firehouse, and at least from the paramedical side of it, the procedure that Annie 100% dominated, that like medical procedure that we did on the guy to perform an emergency fasciotomy, was like the most steps we've ever had and Miranda helped out too, so she knows. Like, it's the most steps we ever had, and whenever they're rolling, like, they cut it up afterwards, but like we must have done that 25 times, and it's like you're unwrapping everything, you're really putting dressings on stuff and like cutting up props, and it was just like, if you don't know it and you're the one who's like messing up the take, that's why it's like it's so important to have people who are willing to like get into the weeds and the details of this stuff, because it really makes or breaks like our time and how cool it looks on camera. And she was like such a baller about it. But
what was that word again? Can you say that word again?
It was an emergency fasciotomy.
Fasciotomy. Very
nice. Thank you.
Italian? That sounds Italian.
Can you say it with like a Latin twist to it?
Right.
Can you say it with like a Latin twist to it? Fasciotomy.
Wait a minute, I said that and Siri came on. It was like looking for information.
Oh, good job, Siri.
Right.
Good job, Siri.
Well, that's actually something I think I'll miss the most is, by the way, if you guys ever need some original dad jokes, Mr. Seda is remarkable.
Ooh.
You know, it's a gift. You can't force it. It just comes to you. You know, it's like it's like the force.
Literally, we'd be walking on set or whatever. We'd be in between takes, and it would be like a really serious take or whatever, and then John and I are both going back to the waiting area, and John would just pass me and be like, "Dad joke, say something funny,"
Yep.
and keep on walking. And of course, I think dad jokes are hilarious, so I'd start peeing myself while everybody else on set is, you know, in a specific space that's necessary for. I really think John was just doing it to me to make a
wardrobe.
Kind of like what did the ceiling say to the floor?
Yeah.
High, low.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Well, remember when you said John really held the show together, and it was because of him that all. Yeah.
She's rethinking that.
Between John and Jason,
that was Miranda. That was Miranda.
Yeah.
That was Miranda. That's fine.
Sam, do you remember if you had better takes after he told the dad jokes?
Oh, I couldn't speak after he told the dad jokes. Literally, I knew I had done my last take after John had, and then that was his way of quality control. Like, he knew if I did a good take, then he would come and tell me a dad joke.
I was just trying to balance things out. You know?
Actually, between Jason and John, on the PD set. We had like nice dad, like nice dad, like sweet dad, and then like serious
What
dad.
did the sailor say to the floor? Hello.
Jason, of course, is amazing and has a great sense of humor, but like he's a very, he's very, very, he gets in the zone and then he stays there, which is one of the wonderful things about working with him, because you can feed off that energy. But Jon has that other balance of like, he knows how to very much is the work hard, play hard kind of mentality, which is a very Chicago thing, actually. That's something that I remember growing up in the community being like, look, you can bust each other about anything, as long as but you always have each other's back.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Miranda, you started to react to what was the dad joke being told. Were you going to comment on Jon's dad jokes as well?
Oh, I mean, listen, it's a gift. I feel like that's what the one Chicago universe really missed out on with Brett Tonio, was like there was such ample opportunity for just puns and dad jokes. And
I tell the dad jokes on our set.
Yeah, and the fans never got to see it.
No, it was
Also,
really.
Why aren't mom jokes a thing?
Sure. Well, because moms come up with far more clever, more sarcastic jokes.
They're just jokes.
There's no mom jokes. There's no mom jokes.
And they're funny.
Good jokes.
They're good. Yeah, they're called good jokes. Good jokes. A lot of the fans out there, Jon, are requesting a dad joke book now. So Abigail Studer, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So now you got to follow up. Kara, I want to go back briefly to what you said about the intense paramedic scene, because actually a question came through about an aspiring paramedic. Let me see who. Oh yeah, Alicia K, 2005. Thinking of becoming a paramedic, wondering if you would recommend it as a job. But then I'd like to open that question up too, and just for all of you about the training aspect, and what who you train with. Did you train with real paramedics and police officers and fire department firefighters, and how was that? So yeah, Carol, I'll start with you, and then anyone else has like another interesting story about learning what the real people are doing out there.
So when I started the show, I did kind of a crash course, because I auditioned on a Tuesday and they flew me out that Friday, like for good. And I was shooting that Monday. So I did like a crash course with our paramedic technician. Her name is Michelle Martinez, and she is an active duty paramedic. And she teaches us everything that we know. So I did do like a brief course where you practice everything on a dummy, like how to intubate and do an IV and stuff like that. But then we really kind of learn as we go, because it's sort of case by case depending on what's written. And definitely Michelle makes sure that we look like we know what we're doing. So we always rehearse it before we shoot it, and just make sure we get like all those little details nailed down, because that's what really sells it. And then, yes, I would recommend it as a job. I mean, these are the most wonderful, self-sacrificing people that I've ever met, and have a lot of gumption and moxie and like personal strength. And we need people to do those jobs. So, yes, if you're thinking about it, I would highly encourage it. As much as that means coming from someone who's doing it fictionally.
No, that's awesome. Well, and a lot of people get inspiration from your portrayal of the fictional characters, and the work that you did, learning so you don't look like, that you don't know what you're doing, that you look like a true, paramedic. So thank you. Randy, Miranda, how about firefighters? Was there a lot, do you have consultants and folks on that, kind of help you out and show you the ropes?
Yeah, Steve Chikorotis is our technical supervisor and one of the creators of the show. He was the deputy district chief of the CFD. He was in control of over 32 firehouses. He's like the real Bowden. Wow. He plays Chief Walker on the show. So I mean, this show is nothing without him. What?
The helmet that we used in the Benny funeral scene, the helmet that we passed off, that was his real helmet, right?
I think so.
All right, that was such a random prop. Sorry.
No, I think so. I think you're right.
I think it was from his service. Yeah. Anyways.
Good memory.
Yeah. Bravo.
Yeah, well, do you remember Tony's nosebleed that day?
Dude, he was so embarrassed. Randy.
Anyway, continue.
Yes, continue. Power through.
That was a beautiful day of shooting as well. So training. When I first booked the show and flew out, I went to our burn stage, which is the stage where we set everything on fire. Also the place where time goes to die. That's what we call it. As the days on that set are long and there's no sunlight and you never know what time it is. It's like a casino, but things are on fire. So I showed up to train with Chick, and Jesse and Eamon showed up for my first day. And they showed me a bunch of different like grippings, and I dragged Jesse. I think that was basically, they told me later, like Eamon and Jesse told me, like, yeah, we just wanted to come check you out and make sure that, you know, you weren't going to be like struggling with like, you know, carrying around the fire hydrants, because we're not the fire hydrants, the extinguishers, because we're not doing this. Okay. Are you strong? And I said, yes, I am.
Miranda's a badass on the truck.
Yes, she is.
Similarly, just piggybacking off her, when we were there, Chikarotis took us to actually the fire academy, and we put the real stuff on from day one, gave us the real techniques, and it's like within, like after lunch, we're actually in these big, I guess these trailers that are like, there's fire and there's a bedroom set and stuff, and you got to go find dummies and everything, and you're like, you can't see anything, it's black, there's smoke. So it was good training. But actually now, since you've heard from us, I want to hear from Seda and Hunt and hear how Luch helped you guys out with all the training with the guns and stuff. That'd be interesting.
I'll jump in. Brian Luch, he's Chicago PD, Steve Chikarotis. Without him, that show, doesn't look as authentic as it does.
Right.
So right from the start, it was Jason and I actually in the beginning, and we met with Brian, and Brian just, I played a police officer on many other shows. So there's something that I have that, I've learned from each show. It stays with me, but it's not like you live the life of a police officer. So, sure. I always accept and want to keep learning and keep trying new things. So, we got with Brian, and Brian, he took us along on ride-alongs. There were other police officers as well that, on our own time, we'd go out and hang out with them, going to the gun range. And there's a physical part of learning how to look like a police officer. And that's one aspect. I always found the more intriguing part, which was the tougher part, was getting in the mind of these officers and how they go about just their everyday lives, how they interact with each other, the camaraderie between each other, and how, and in regards to the this unit, the intelligence unit, what was it that was the nucleus between them? Like what kept them together, and how did they go about each other when they were in the office and when they were out on the streets? So just sitting down and talking and really just paying attention and soaking in everything that Brian would say. Some other officers, there's Frank Totonico that I would talk to, good friend of mine, Detective Joe Genchi in New Jersey, who's been a long time friend of mine. He's helped me out on many other shows as well. I'm always going to him and asking him questions, and he watches the show and would critique me and call me up. He'd call me up and say, hey, John, you shouldn't be wearing you're having your gun when you're going here, and you shouldn't be doing this and that. I said, Joe, I tried, but so always trying to just, really not just look, because I took to heart what we were doing. We were representing these men and women that do this, day in and day out, and they're heroes. So, trying to show, how the side, especially for Antonio Dawson. For Antonio, he was more about trying to do things by the book, trying to do things the right way. And, and I took that as something really serious and, to try to do it the right way. So by doing that, all I could do is really listen to other officers and police individuals that were doing this job and trying to soak it in as much as I could.
Awesome. Thank you. Sam, it had to be, you mentioned you're originally from Chicago.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you talked a little bit about kind of joked around about running into past acquaintances, but what was it like kind of knowing the areas and the different neighborhoods and everything in Chicago and kind of being on filming your scenes there at your hometown?
Yeah, I mean, it's just to piggyback off of John was saying. Really quick, it's something that I forget who taught me this, but basically we refer to it as like the cowboy effect, right? If you have a cowboy hat on and you're riding a horse, then you're a cowboy. So the actor's job is, so much of that is taking care of you. So our job is to really get inside the mind of, these people and the relationships and stuff like that, as much as it is about obviously understanding the technical aspects. So that was also, that was just a really interesting challenge coming from somebody where I don't know anything about computers. At all. It was really a struggle to be here today, guys. I gotta be honest with you. Being back in Chicago and experiencing the neighborhoods. So I left Chicago when I was 18. And so it was a fun experience to go back and experience the city as an adult, but there is a uniqueness to the culture in Chicago. And also there's an interesting, each neighborhood, because when Chicago burned down, they rebuilt it on a grid, right? So these streets all go north, south, east, west, basically, besides the 2 avenues that go diagonally. But so the effect of that was to create very distinct neighborhoods.
Right.
Really distinct zones and for a long time that created a lot of issues as far as just segregation goes, and as far as culture. What's up?
I said redlining.
Yeah, right.
Seriously.
So to go back now and to see that still exist in a lot of ways, but then also there's so much history from neighborhood to neighborhood based off of what community really built that up. So it's, it was full of nostalgia and it was really fun to really learn about the city that I grew up in and spend time there and get to, and have an excuse, right? It's really, the show is just one big excuse for me to actually be from Chicago.
Yeah. And it represents the city so well. I mean, just from shooting there and then seeing it, obviously there's sets and things, but they do show some love for that city.
Sure.
Which is really
and
cool.
that was a question that came up a lot where people would ask, "Oh, where do you guys shoot?"
Yeah.
Well, we shoot in Chicago. Everything's in Chicago. And I think that's a point of pride for the shows. And I really commend them on, because, so many things it's like shot in Ontario for New York or whatever, or Toronto or,
Right.
So I think there's something really authentic and admirable. And I think it's something that people in Chicago really appreciate, because people in Chicago, they want to be New York is really cool and LA is really cool and has all this drama. And so when the Chicago shows came around, people in Chicago were like, yeah, we're cool too. We got issues.
But Chicago is cool.
Chicago is awesome, right? But Chicago is kind of known as being, besides being the murder capital of the world, is known for being from a cultural aspect of really nice people, right? Yeah. And so I think for people from Chicago, they're like, yeah, we're tough, we're cool. See, you can see it now in the world.
Yeah, so cool. Such an amazing universe with crossover. It's like the Arrowverse of the Chicago service industry. And so it's so awesome that we get to just cross over. We get to see the city represented. And then again, all those first responders out there, you guys all portray them beautifully and really do them a lot of respect. I cannot wait for this show to come back. We left on a lot of cliffhangers, most notably a beautiful performance by the character of Atwater, in that final scene, and so dealing with contemporary issues. And I can't wait to get back to that. It just left us on such a tough moment, and then that we actually experienced in the real world. And Black Lives Matter, and I know the show represents these first responders and does such a great job of showing all the sides of it, how the people can be bad in the industry, but people can also be really good too. So that was my long segue to just, I want to go around the room and just hear a little bit from each one of you. Shout out to the fans. We're out of time. I know we started late, but just anything that you're currently supporting or doing, or any information you have about upcoming. Brittany, I know we didn't get to chat a lot, but specifically, who was it that was asking it? Was asking about if Katie's coming to Stella Ride's wedding. So, even the smallest art characters, we'd love to see you all come back. So just like one more quick shout out. I think we lost John to unfortunately, but we'll give John, he was like, that's enough, right? We're good. No, no, John was great, and we love him for being here. So shout out to Jon Seda. But yeah, one more shout out to the fans from each of you, and then we'll wrap things up here.
None of us could be where we are right now without you fans. Thank you so much, all you One Chicago Fire fans. That's it. Thank you very much. And for now, what we're working on or whatever until we get started is Black Lives Matter. Let's get out there and keep making positive change.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you, Randy.
I guess I'll say, yeah, I love and appreciate every single one of you, the energy that you decided to bring to this time together. I could not agree more, Randy. Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Thrive. This might be controversial. I'm a big fan of defund the police, and all of my proceeds for this this particular convention are going to an organization called For My Block. So there's a small business relief fund. So if you go to my Instagram, which is Mr. Mayo, click the link in my bio, you can donate, or go to the website, check out how you can volunteer and help Chicago thrive, especially our Black brothers and sisters. Yes, support Black business.
Yeah. Miranda, you said that was called For Your Black. For Your Black. I just want to make sure everybody gets it.
Oh, For My Block. For My Block.
Oh my gosh. Awesome.
.org. Here, I'll type it. Here.
I got it. It's on Twitch. It's officially on Twitch. So there you go.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Miranda.
I'll go next. Yes, thank you everybody for joining us and doing this virtual Wizard Entertainment tour. This is a lot of fun. I mean, selfishly, it's just fun to see these familiar faces again, since we're all spread out and we're all doing so many different things during the lockdown. And yeah, some things that I've been working on in this time is I've been going the last couple of weekends to volunteer with the Westside Community Cleanup. That's put on by the city treasurer, Melissa Conyers Irvin. And you can either go to the west side or you can go to the south side, and you basically just spend a couple hours cleaning up and building community. I also got connected to another really cool organization called the Chicago Anti-Violence Initiative. And they basically send volunteers, people who are trained, to go into neighborhoods after there's been shootings or victims. And they basically try and counsel people to not retaliate. And they also just offer counseling to people in the neighborhood who have been through it. And they also go to the hospitals to be there with the families of the victims, which I think is really cool. Awesome. So yeah, check those things out.
Awesome. Thank you, Kara.
I'll jump in next. This has been extraordinary. I love seeing everyone's face, and it just makes me yearn to see you all again. And maybe I'll get the chance, maybe I won't. But if I get back to Chicago for work, then I'll be seeing you, whether it's your show or this other thing I was doing. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. I'm really happy that you're in my life. I'm on The Politician, which just dropped on Netflix on Friday.
Woohoo!
Thank you. It's been really fun. It's kind of wild and wacky, but check that out. I would just encourage everyone to, it's like, for me, you can't go big until you start small. So I during this time, I've been looking at myself. I've been looking at my choices. I've been looking at the media that I consume. I'm looking at the ways in which I can improve sort of my four walls here, and then trying my best to radiate that outwards. But I am in 100% agreement. Black Lives Matter. And I'm thrilled at what I'm seeing here in this era. And I think it's about sustained change. So while this is a very sort of, I don't know, a live time for this, this is one moment in time, and we just simply must make these small incremental changes to, I think, produce larger results in a sustained way. So, but anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in all over the world. This is amazing. And I'm grateful that you care. Like Randy said, we wouldn't be here if you didn't care. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy.
I think I still need to talk. Well, I know I still need to talk. I realize it's getting down to the wire. But yeah, thank you guys. This was fun. I really love being on this show, and I loved coming back after, God, I was on the show in like 2013 and then came back and did an episode like a year ago. And that's when I met I already knew Randy, but that's where I met almost the rest of you. And you guys were just so loving, and like Miranda running up to me and hugging me in the trailer was a very nice welcome back, even though I didn't know you yet. And it was awesome. And unless that was Kara. No, was that Miranda? Jeez, I can't keep any person straight today at all. All I know is it's just all
It had to have been Annie. It had to have been Annie.
It was just both were equally loving. But yeah, I love being on the show. And God, what are the quick things I want to say? I made a documentary about whiskey called Water of Life. It's about Scotch whiskey that should be coming out end of this year, maybe next year. Everything's I don't know.
Send us those samples, Brittany. Send us those samples now.
A lot of whiskey in this house right now, so there's a lot. But yeah, also, again, Black Lives Matter. Do things. There's so many actionable things you can do. You can donate to Black Lives Matter. You can support Black businesses. You can support Black small businesses. There's a lot of resources you can go to online to like actually do. I mean, it's good to voice your support, but like we need to take action, and you can take action in lots of different ways. And yeah, and then two of the things I've been doing during this time is working with a couple charities. This is international, so I don't know how useful this is, but one's called Create California, which is all about getting the arts more in schools and in California. But part of that is the arts are being taught like 12% of what they're legally supposed to be taught at. And part of the problem with that is there's certain communities and there's certain demographics that are underserved, and it just further supports a divide socially and economically. And so it's becoming an equity issue. It's not like the arts actually directly affect equity issues in our world and kids, and it turns into bigger issues that we're now dealing with adults in the real world today. I'm just trying to say it so quick. So that's a thing. Create CA if you're in California. And if you're not an organ donor, be an organ donor. So sign up, takes 30 seconds. It's really easy to see. That's a thing that I do a lot. It has not related to any of this, but it's a great thing to save a person's life. And it only takes you 30 seconds to sign up to do such a thing. Yeah. So that's why my fiance is on this planet, is because of an organ donor. So it's very close to my heart. But love you guys. Stay safe out there. Wear masks, and Black Lives Matter.
Please. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, I'll reiterate everything that everyone has said about the times, and that I think that's something. I mean, in this time, I've been kind of like Teddy was talking about. I've been using it as an opportunity to do a lot of personal reflection, just listening to people, trying to follow through and examine my own prejudices and my own thought processes that maybe were given to me just through my experience, but that doesn't mean that I am not responsible for them in some way. And so how can I work with those? And something that I think is really uncomfortable and that a lot of us avoid is there's that idea of like when you go to Thanksgiving and you sit down with your family, everyone's like, oh, nobody talk about anything difficult.
Yeah.
I challenge that. And and this is something I'm facing right now, I believe that it is our responsibility. And one of the best things we can do is connect with the people who are within our immediate circle, connect with the people that are around you and listen and figure out how they feel about what they feel about and why, and find those opportunities to have some common ground. But that dialogue, I think, is the most important, even when it feels hopeless. I think that's something that you can do for yourself, so that you're living with integrity, but also that you never know how it's going to, the kind of impact it's going to have. So just keep supporting each other, keep showing up in whatever way you can. I know not everyone can go out and march every day, and not everybody can, give a bunch of money and stuff like that, but there's something for everybody. And at the very least, it's go get a book, do a little bit of learning. So that's what I've been trying to do, and I really support. I'm really grateful for this time because not only for selfish reasons because it's opening me up, but obviously for the bigger issues and just seeing the impact around the world is. With everything that's going on in the world, it's really a bright spot. It's a light that we can all kind of get around. So I'm thinking, and thank you guys to the fans, obviously. What Randy said, I think Randy said it perfectly. Without you guys, we don't exist in this way. And this experience never would have happened. And I'm truly grateful for that. So thanks, guys.
Yeah. Awesome. And shows like this are going to be shaped. They were setting the bar already and they're going to continue to grow as well. So I can't wait to get back to that. I know as the fans, we can't wait to get back to that. So I know we got a little heavy there at the end, fans, but I think this was an important cast and show representing, the heroes that are out there and all of these real life situations and these real life people to talk about the things that matter and the things that are important. And then on a lighter side, again, as fans, we just can't wait to see the final 3 episodes of these recent seasons. We're on cliffhangers here. So good luck to all of you. Be safe when you do get back to work. I know it's going to take a while, but we need your industry back more than ever right now. So again, thank you all for hanging tight. Yeah, folks watching from around the world, they're just sounding off again. England, Canada, France, Germany, Argentina, the Pacific, obviously across the country watching right now, just shouting out love and hearts and support to Black Lives Matter, but then just you all we miss Mouse, bring back Mouse, all kinds of fun stuff going on out there. So again, thank you, and to Jon Seda, who we lost there at the end. Again, much love to you as well, Jon. It was Randy that kicked you out of the meeting, so it's his fault. You can blame him. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah. But on behalf of Wizard World Virtual Experiences and all the fans watching, one more big round of applause to the cast of One Chicago PD, Chicago FD. Let's hear it up one more time for Randy Flagler, Kara Killmer, Miranda Rae Mayo, Teddy Sears, Brittany Curran, Samuel Hunt, and Jon Seda, everybody. Thank you so much.
Hey, this is Alex Malari Jr., and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Your Emperor commands it. Thanks for watching.